That to frustrate the EC. And so this is about the court hearing you spoke about, and we'll be going there. The NDC delay status, tell us something and paint a certain picture. To have our these are the dignitaries that if you didn't know the man in person, you get to know him through the account of really hard or something to do with him. So Morris, it's still rest in peace from Hebrew Foundation, the one we have all come to love from here.
So we still have the Accra International Conference Center. Those are live.
You're welcome back to the studios. We're still bringing you pictures from the Accra International Conference Center. As announced early on, there is another event at the Supreme Court. It is the 2020 presidential petition hearing at the Supreme Court. And our reporters on the ground tell us that the Supreme Court has gone on recess. That's because the petitioners, led by counsel Tony Letha, today were supposed to file their witnesses' statements. They couldn't do that today, and they are saying that there was a motion pending for a review of a ruling that the Supreme Court made on their request to ask the EC some 12 or 15 specific questions. The Supreme Court dismissed that request and made their ruling. The NDC requested for a review of that ruling. Later, after the court adjourned to today, the NDC filed another motion to stay proceedings until the Supreme Court has heard their case on a motion requesting for a review of that particular hearing. So, Counsel Tony Letha was saying that because these two motions were pending, they didn't come to court today with their petitioner statement. Don't forget that the NDC has said that they have some 5 witnesses who would be their witnesses in this particular case, the 2020 presidential election petition hearing at the Supreme Court. And so as we speak, the court has gone recess. They would decide what will be the next way forward. When they return, we'll bring you pictures of that particular event. That is exclusive and live on Ghana television. So at this point, we're going to get Ghana television, GTV, join the feed from the Accra International Conference Center, where His Excellency J.J. Rawlings is lying in state. When the court gives a signal that they are ready to make their ruling on today's issues, then we'll go back to the Supreme Court, and then GTV will bring you pictures from, the Supreme Court. Our men on the ground, Abdul Hai Moment, and my senior colleague, Edward Nyako, would be speaking to the parties involved in this particular matter and bring you up to speed with what's happening at the Supreme Court. You want to stay with us. So we'll go back to the Accra International Conference Center, where we see more dignitaries, personalities paying their last respects to His Excellency J.J. Rawlings. We see in your pictures not too long ago, Do Ajaho, who was a former Speaker of Parliament, paying his last respect. So it's gotten to that point where former Speakers of Parliament will come to pay their last respect. The lineup that we have. Former Speakers of Parliament will come there to pay their last respect to the late J.J. Rawlings. The pictures coming to you from the Accra International Conference Center. As you can see, there's so much, security because of the personality.
It should be expected.
That are coming there today.
It should be expected.
And also the safety protocols, COVID-19 safety protocols, adhered to strictly.
And it has been very strictly.
Very much so. Yes. Very much so. Yesterday when I was there, so when you get to the main entrance of the conference center, you do a security check, and then there's a booth where you are fumigated. I don't know whether that word is right. And then you climb up to the main frontage of the conference center. Lined up is, lots and lots of sanitizers. You can choose from to sanitize your hands. You walk in there quietly, and then you wave at the family, and then you do a turn, and then you bow, and then you come out.
You walk out.
Sure. And you are not allowed to take any pictures. Yes. So, those are pictures. I think that even today, the general public should be allowed. So we're seeing the numbers.
The numbers, yes.
Okay, so this is the NDC caucus in Parliament. I see some very. Sure, it should be the NDC caucus in Parliament. They are getting themselves ready to pay their last respect. That's the Speaker of Parliament,
Mr. Alban Bagwin.
Honorable Alban.
Now, because of the mask, you are not able to readily identify
that.
But
he's with his glasses.
That should be him. Yes, that should be him.
You get to see who he is.
That should be him.
Alban Subana Bagwin, the current Speaker of Parliament. He will pay his last respects to J.J. Rawlings. There we see heads of security agencies. We also see the second Deputy Speaker, Joe Wise, the second Deputy Speaker.
in your shorts there. And then those are parliamentary staffers.
Some of the clerks.
Sure. I mean, those who work in Parliament, senior members of, the parliamentary workforce. So they're in your
the
short.
minority leader.
Well, at this point, they call him the leader of the NDC group.
The leader of the NDC group.
The leader of the NDC group.
Mr. Haruna Idrisu.
In Parliament.
Yes.
Mr. Haruna Idrisu. An experienced
politician. It's just going to be confusing. Eh?
Sure. He is being Minister of Communications at a point. He's being majority leader at a point. He's being minority leader at a point. He comes across as someone who welcomes views, from both political divides. So much respect for him, even from the MPP side. He leads the.
That should be. It's also a chairman sabun, so we'll just walk past.
Right.
A very solemn moment, Morris.
Sure. And I had the opportunity to file pass yesterday.
You did?
I did, yes. I because I was there.
How was it like?
I mean, it was something that you have the opportunity. Because not everybody is going to have the opportunity.
It's true.
There are people who will be limited geographically, even though they would like to come and watch, they may not get opportunity. So for me, it was humbling that I get to see this man finally.
For people who haven't still come to terms with the fact that he's gone,
sure.
You see him
sure.
lying in state, and I mean, there's no two ways about it. You have no option.
Even at this point, some will still feel it's not true until maybe tomorrow when
he's finally lowered.
And then maybe when the casket is covered, you know that the man is beginning a journey to eternity.
A journey of no return, if you can say that.
Sure. All right, so there we have it. Politicians from both the NDC and the MPP, at the Accra International Conference Center.
And it is humbling how COVID-19 has been able to, change our very fabric of social life. Now we go to events such as this, which it was the norm for you to shake hands.
To even hug.
But now it has been reduced to a wave or a fist bump.
Sure. That's Honorable Doyo, Comfort Doyo Ganza. He's an MP for Addo. And you see in a shot, he's a new entrant in Parliament, Francis Sosu Xavier.
I remember that case he had with a man who had been caught
in
prison for so long, and he was able to.
He was in remand, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And then fought that case for him, and the guy was released. Yeah. He's done several of those
issues.
Of those cases.
I see.
Actually.
So yesterday, is it 5 p.m. the doors were closed, or they were able to extend the time?
I think it was 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
Yeah, but I left before 5 p.m. anyway. But these are, this event is being ushered by the military. So and the national, the state protocol.
So there is strict compliance to time.
To time. So I'm thinking about 5 p.m. yesterday.
youth groups were working from different directions that he was part of before June 4th, and after that, before the like I said, he was a very interested, down-to-earth person to work with.
But very interesting and down-to-earth person to work with.
Yeah.
Right. And what if I ask you, what do you remember about him? Your phone memories of him. Tell me one important thing that you remember about him.
What I know about him is that he was down-to-earth person. When you dream about something in connection with the process, and you went there to you had his attention, and where he thought that there were other people in the group that you should touch base with, network with, he will recommend and will follow through.
So with me, also joining me in the studio is the Right Honorable Duajaho, a former Speaker of Parliament. Honorable Duajaho, you're welcome. And we're all looking at someone that we thought, we were thinking at a point in time, when his death was announced, people were surprised. And it got to a time that people were thinking that it is Rawlings never dies. But the story of Rawlings is dead came in. So what are you thinking about? Rawlings is gone. What are you thinking about?
Indeed, until I saw him lying in state, that was the position I took, that Rawlings never died. I couldn't even believe it. Indeed, I was lost for words. And if you recall, I've never granted an interview until I came out and I spoke to the media for the first time since the unfortunate incident of November 12, 2020. But he was larger than life.
Yes.
He walked the talk. When he spoke about probity and accountability, it wasn't just a mere slogan. He actually lived it until the day before death. You know, you remember during the PNDC days, where his fight against corruption, his stand for probity and accountability was high. He never departed from those virtues, those principles, until he passed on. I had the privilege, of getting closer to him, not when he was in office, but when he left office during the Kufuor administration. But from a distance, he continued to motivate me. I just told a story of when I was majority chief whip, and I went to do a program on those days, is it Talking Point? I think we still have it.
You still have it, yes.
It's normally on over the weekend, Sundays. I went there to do a program to defend the government position on certain issues. I was shocked the following day. Ambassador Victor Smith, who was then working in his office, brought a letter signed by the First Lady, the wife, Nana Konadu Ajima Rawlings, that she and the husband appreciate my contributions and that I should continue. That's the level of motivation. That's the level of encouragement. It is not this time that we have this politics of pull you down. When you are shining, then people will meet, plan, and try and draw you down. He will motivate you, encourage you, support you. He will stand by you when he's convinced that what you are doing is right. And that letter, that from the first family at the time, I valued it up to today. That is continuing to inspire me to reach where I have reached in politics. And don't forget, as a young lawyer, I was posted to Brown-Hafo region, to the Attorney General's Department for my national service in the early 80s. And I was there one morning when a letter came from Accra, signed by the PNDC coordinator for revenue commissioners, tribunals and investigations, appointing me as assistant special public prosecutor in charge of Brown-Hafo region. Apparently, a week before I did a case at the tribunal, and I think there were reports all over, clearly showed the way I defended the person after communicating. Young as I was at that time. And so the whole council office of special public prosecutor originated from the man, Jerry John Rawlings, in his bid to prosecute, to serve as deterrent for economic sabotage, for people who continue to dish their hands into the scarce resources of this state for their personal gain. And I don't know the number of properties that the man had at the time of his death. When he was living in Accra, I happened to visit there once. We went for the funeral at transition, the funeral of the late Ebotewia, and we followed him to know where he was staying. And he was staying in a rented place. Later on, I was told. He was staying in a rented place. Apart from his step place, that I know, very modest house. I don't know of any other. This should be the way forward.
That should be the leader.
Yes, the public office should not be used to make money at the expense of the people. Clearly, I mean, that path is not the correct path to go as a people and as a nation. And that is why he had no patience for people
He considered as corrupt.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And many people did not agree so much with him.
That takes me to my next question. Honorable E.T. Mensah, you work with him, and you know that in this part of the world, there are people who don't have anything to show for politics.
Mm-hmm.
Before politics, they were nobody.
Mm-hmm.
They have not done any hard work before. Mm-hmm. And so when you're going into politics, they're going into politics to make wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a leader you are not following, and the man is against this.
Mm-hmm.
How comfortable were you? Were you not afraid of your future? That the future is going to be bleak, the future without money, the future without resources? Were you not afraid of it?
We were not afraid of it. Well, we knew the man we were working with who was interested in details. Like I said, we started with him years back before 31st. June 14 broke out. And 31st, we had movements where we used to go around the country and replicate the movements, and also every weekend we had to go somewhere to go and educate the people, let them know where we were going to. And he, was quite an interesting person. All cabinet members then knew. And once in a while he would drop his attention to gentlemen, where we were coming from, and our mantra, probity and accountability. You have to bear in mind that there will be a day of reckoning. So whatever you are doing, you have to be very careful. There were times when people even considered funny whenever I found the new people who had joined, as secretary. Wearing expensive watches and things would do their attention, and they will remove it before stepping out to come to have a meeting. So we knew who he was, and we will not spare anybody. Our clothes. We were with him. If we should cross the red line.
You know what you're going to feel. Right Honorable Doa Jahu, former Speaker of Parliament, you have a very fine experience working with former President Rawlings. Do you think at any point in time he felt and he believed that what he wanted to do, he's been able to at least do so?
Yes, he's not expressing openly. From discussions with him, what I was saying is that he did not want his letters to be destroyed. Up to where he still believes that there's more to be done. He believes that there's more to be done, irrespective of what is achieved so far. But he still believes that there's a lot that he needs to do. Especially when you can't see injustice. You can't see people, suffering. You can't tolerate corruption. And he believes that one way to move this country forward is to fight corruption, is to walk the talk on probity and accountability. And anytime he see people departing from that path, they feel a sense of betrayal. They feel that, look, all these sacrifices that I did, putting my life at risk, why can't people see it in that light and continue in that spirit? And so, yes, he felt he's done a lot. He also felt that he sacrificed a lot. He felt that he has given his all.
You're welcome back. It's still our live coverage of the 4-day state funeral of His Excellency J.J. Rawlings. As I told you earlier on, there's also a Supreme Court hearing at the Supreme Court concerning the 2020 election petition. The court went on a short recess. We are told by our men on the ground that the court has returned, and so the rule on the motion that the NDC has filed, they have filed 2 motions to stay proceedings until the Supreme Court hears their case on a review of a ruling that was made by the Supreme Court sometime last week. They were unable to file their petitioner's statement today, even though the respondent, the first respondent and the second respondent did so. They have filed an opposition to the NDC's request for a review of that particular ruling that the Supreme Court made sometime last week. So the court has returned. GTV will pick that event live, and so you can continue watching the state funeral on GBC News whilst GTV brings you live pictures from the Supreme Court. This guy had the food of the shire.
People thought that you could not extend electricity to the northern part. This trials in the High Court has a similar provisions as follows. Where he expanded electricity. He expanded, educational. Don't forget about the educational reforms program. When they build secondary schools, establish secondary schools across the length and breadth, so that they can put education at the doorsteps of the people. The self-help program of electrification. Mention them. Look, I have no apology to anybody to say that he's one of the greatest leaders, presidents this country had ever seen. And he did it with integrity. And I just granted an interview, and I like Otini, so let me repeat it again. I read a book. One senator called Alan Simpson of the US was introducing President Ford at Harvard University. and the words that he used continue to guide me. And he said, if you have integrity, nothing else matters. If you don't have integrity, nothing else matters. John Royce had integrity, and nothing else matters. Notwithstanding how they may want to rewrite the history books, notwithstanding how people may want to disown him, betray him, abandon him, nothing else matters, either in life or in death.
Even sir, you were very close to former President Rawlings before we promulgated the Constitution in 1993. What was his mood when we were moving from the PNDC into the NDC era? What was his mood? Was he comfortable moving into a democracy where you would have to go and ask permission for everything at all you want to do? What was his mood?
Let me just, add something to what my brother, the speaker, said. I read something from that man who was a professor in Johns Hopkins University about the state of African countries, and that he did a research on 11 African countries and concluded that all those countries were failed states, including Ghana. And talk about failed state, that's what we're talking about, right? When virtually everything was not available, your station wasn't what it is today. It was in charters and was the only one. You couldn't even get simple things like KK, Gary, and other things to buy. You had to queue for everything. There were no materials for you to go and sew any suit that you wanted to. You had to go to the Greenwell sellers and all that. Now, in 1979, early 1979, he reviewed and he said that, look, each and every one of those states will have political upheavals. There will be coups, counter-coups, and a lot of mess will break out. But in 1979, he said and revised what he had said, how the Rawlings reintroduced Ghana moving into legitimacy when it stepped in. So what my brother just said is something that people need to know. Ghana wasn't what it is today. Those were the days when I had the privilege of being the first Metropolitan Chief Executive for Accra for 10 years. And when we took over, I saw what Accra was. You look for a high-rise building, and you could only refer to top 600 in each state at the time. It was under President Rawlings' watch that you can talk about airport city. It didn't happen by accident. It was deliberate. It was deliberately fashioned out. When we moved in there, we had to clear farms and chop bars up all the way to the belly of the airport. We had to do that. That was the time when you had only one double in Accra. From, what the part of Better Circle to the beach. All the other double roads came under the Economic Recovery Program. As you see today, the markets that were built, with demolished Bakala market. And at the time that it was demolished because of the Kalabule. But when we went in there, we found out that Accra had a plan. And 20 other markets had to be built. And that the market in Makula had to be relocated to its present position. And we followed it. The city was swallowed by 758 huge mounds of refuge, bigger than this building that was sitting. And we had to clear it. And the interesting thing was that he was personally involved. He would come to us because we were building the market, clearing the risks without, the city having the equipment that they should have. What they did was that we had to get a place, but then they networked with the German government for support. They had to link with the German government for support and clear the mess. And you recall, people were in Accra, even cleaning the carpet was around. Public toilets, 129 toilets were all messy situations. We had to do something about it. And while we were working for the creation of the first-class modern waste management department, all this happened under his watch. So what you see today, to cut a long story short, as I brought the book, I've written a book on about Accra, the state of Accra, and what Accra is today. You credit President Rawlings with that. And he encouraged that. At that time, we motivated the workers in the city engineers department to build the market. We have a Bubulushi market, Accra Newtown was there, that revived it. 129 markets. And so the women, when some of our parties were voting for us happily because of what they had gained from the process. Accra is what it is today. And then we extended it. Accra City Extension Project then came to stream. We extended it to secondary Takrady. I was had to go there and hold workshops for the people there to know how we did it. And the urban will come. Those days where we went out there and closed 3 a.m. every day, paid the workers the same day, and in the night, he'll come with Billy Ben to come and visit us, crack jokes to the workers, encourage the people. So people love, his style. People love his style. So when he moves you from here to here, it's only because I was babbling him, but because he was seeing what we're doing. And he involved the people in, even when budgets were going to be published, whenever President sent what he had to send for the academicians to discuss it, and the politicians to discuss it, the old man wanted to know what the people feel out there. So he'll probably, Chairman, if you have sat in this thing, you let me go, give your bill, and let's go and talk to the market leaders. At that time, there were no leaders. I formed the associations based on the commodity that they were selling. And we will go and discuss with them about what was going to come out of the budget and what is the fallout to be. They should ask their questions, they needed their input. The input of the market was something that was taken seriously, added to whatever happened. So we can go on and on and on.
So that is it. Right Honorable Duajaho, what if you look at your style? If you're a Speaker of Parliament and we saw the strength and your capacity and your drive, what did you take from former President Rawlings? That is that this one, I think I'll have to learn this and I have to use it.
When I became Speaker, you know how I was welcomed. An amount of 50,000 Ghana cedis was into my personal account. I knew, and I didn't know, and it was meant for rent. I knew I wasn't entitled because I was a public member at the time. And the letter that was written for the money mentioned 275 MPs. And I knew I wasn't entitled. So my mind was not there. I was coming out from my last election campaign. So I was going to take money and I wanted to find my balance from my bankers. I called them and they mentioned a certain amount, which I have in my account. I knew I couldn't have got that money in my account after an election. So I asked them to something has been paid. And they told me that they have paid 50,000 into my account. I quickly signed a check and called the clerk and said, look, don't, why? I wasn't entitled. Go and, this is the check. Go and pay in. Bring me my paying slip and give me a receipt. That is Jerry John. That is the thing I'm doing. Because if you ever hospital people for those offenses, and young as I was and I was prosecuting people, it guides you. You know, you see people fall from grace to grass in those days. I mean, how do you think that you would allow that money to stay in your account? And another thing, I try to live a very modest lifestyle, because I keep on telling my children that at the end of the day, it is not the properties that you own, the material things that you have, but the values, the virtues, the principles that you live, like the great prophets of old, like the great politicians. You don't remember them for what they own at the point of living this earth. You remember them for the values, the principles, what they fought for, what they believed in. And so there's no way, you know that when you are young and a lot of things have impact on you than when you are old. Yeah. Growing up and you see some of these things. December 31st, when December 31st was, I was 24 years. And I started prosecuting around 20-something years, into early 30s. And you can't see that, look, are you better than the people that you are prosecuting? And so it will have impact on you. It will have impact on you. And you see the sacrifice of a lot of people at that time around Rawlings. Even when you even make your own money to put up your own house, you are even afraid. So a lot of people who work around you put up their buildings after you return to constitutional rule. I mean, look, you just working. My last office before I went to Parliament was at the State House here. You can work from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. But the following on Sakame for the Attorney General, but the following day you are in the office. You are highly motivated. You want to work. No interference, except that the only time that there's any interference is either to commend you or to draw attention to something that maybe you did not get right. And so I look, I think that nobody is perfect except God. But you should try as much as possible to lead a life top that generation to come carry it. And I think that his life,
this life,
yes,
of the man life,
yes, yes. I mean, it was not. You get to him. I mean, you get to him, and he will not. He wasn't interested in. He wasn't what that was. You know. Look, I when he lost the mother, there was a lady. A friend went to see him, and he met a lady there who was crying. No. After he died, and said who was going to buy his medication for him. Apparently, he had a list of people that every man that comes to him, he was paying either their school fees, people paying their medical bills, people in difficulties. He was. So any money that comes his way, he shared it with the people. Yes. And at least after his death, I had an encounter with two of those people. So you might not be liked, or people might even think that you are a fool. But at the end of the day, it is worth emulating him.
So Honorable Yitines, what message would you want to give the young of today, looking at the life of former President Rawlings, Lieutenant Lieutenant Jerry John? The point he was called Junior Jesus during your time, when you were the mayor of Accra.
Yeah.
The market queens were shouting, Junior Jesus, JJ, Junior Jesus, JJ. And we're saying that also Yitines and Jama, you are a real organizer. You organized for him. What message would you give to young ones, looking at your future and pointing them to?
Thank you very much. I have told you my children every now and then, and the young men around me, and what we're seeing today, that it pays. That when it pays to bid your time. It pays to be patient. You don't have to rush. We've read it around, we've seen it. If you rush, you will crash. And you will never be able to recover. You don't have to rush. For you've seen somebody who has built a number of houses, I will be in this, they call us fools. Those of us who work around, Papa J, you will just allow him to bully. You never bullied anybody. That whatever you are doing, there will be a day of reckoning. And when the day comes, what you will be able to use to defend yourself will be the life that you led. And what is happening today, the young ones are too much in a hurry. Project did something which was fantastic that people need to learn about. All the people that he chose to work with were senior people who have seen it all before. The Nathan Kwao, the Harry Sawyers, the Munufie, the Justice Anans, and those of us, Kwesiboche, and others, those of us who used to be working on the campus that he poached, were all people who were working, and then he brought us to come and work. The generals that he poached from the barracks, the retired police officers, all the things that we did, we had all these people around us. Were people who have seen it all before. So, in leadership, you need to bring strong, that we don't need just strong men, but men who are strong here. And they were around us, and we're always, advising us. Mention them, the team that was there. So people sitting out there were attracted to the revolution and were attracted to the party. The party was running all the time and it was so big. So that is my one that I need to give it advice to young people. You don't have to rush in life. Rush in life at every segment, every corner of life. Wherever you find yourself, you will crash. And when you crash, you can never
difficult to recover. Right, Honorable Addo, before you go, I would want you to advise the young of today. You have done your part. As a young man, you really stood and reflected the values: probity, accountability, integrity, social justice. You reflected them. What advice would you give to the young of today?
When I was in the university, I was the secretary of the KC Alego. The then opposition leader, the late Victor Usu, came and gave a lecture. And in that lecture, he made a very important statement, which had guided me up to today. He said that you must have political apprenticeship, or you must have apprenticeship in whatever you do. When you go through the meal, you get a better leader. If you use a shortcut to get to the top, you will not survive. You know, before becoming speaker, I won 6 consecutive elections. I continue to work because, I I joined the leadership of the House when Jasana was the Speaker, and I joined the leadership in 1997. And so you go through the mill, you work with the leaders, you work with the speakers, those speakers before you work with those leaders that you work with the presidents that you met, you learn from everybody. You see the mistakes in life, you see the successes of life. It's your own mistake. How many times you make along the way, you try to correct them, never to repeat them. When you emerge, you don't make mistakes. You don't make mistakes. Please, you don't make mistakes. In fact, it will be difficult for you to make mistakes. So the young to the young, I say that look, everybody should take his time. We need the youth in our developmental efforts. But if it helps, if you take your time and you go to the mill, you will be successful. You have that apprenticeship. You wherever you find yourself, not necessarily in politics, in public service, in the military, in whatever. When you take your time and go through the ranks, go through the mill, you get that experience. That will continue to guide you.
You learn at the feet of the masters.
You learn at the feet of the masters.
Thank you very much, Honorable Yiti Mensah, and Right Honorable Former Speaker of Parliament, Addo.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you in the studio.
It's my pleasure too.
I've put a book together. It's in print when we launched it. From the state of Ghana from 81 to 91.
That was. We'll be glad to be part of that.
Okay.
Read the book as well.
It reminds beautiful.
Thank you. So we're still at the we're still at the Accra International Conference Center, where we are observing the final funeral rites, day 3 of the burial of the former president of the Republic of Ghana, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings. I just finished talking to Honorable Yiti Mensah, a long-time confidant, where he stayed with Rawlings, worked for Rawlings. At a point, he was saying he was his barber. And he confirmed. He said, not only because he was his barber that he stayed longer with him, but because of Just let me quickly interrupt you and tell viewers, announce to viewers that we are now getting to where Chief Justice, the justices of the Supreme Court are ready to file past the mortal remains of the former President of the Republic of Ghana, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings. Yes, all right. We have lost a great asset. We have lost something that it is good and afraid it could feel. Honestly, when you ask me, because someone will say, when you are coming from the position. No. When I was a student in a PRESEC, the Democratic Youth League of Ghana, in the early days of the revolution, some of us have someone's time moving past, what do you call it? This conference center around Addo, Art Center. Yes, to go and listen to him. It is something that we need. The state must do something in his honor. But let me say this, because it is wrong for always praise people when they are. That has been possible. Whilst the person is alive, that is where we must eulogize him. It is not his own. He doesn't hear. He doesn't see. Sometimes when someone is one and these people are like passing, I defend him. I said, no, you can do that. I recall one time when my own brother, Nilante, was after him. I defended the Rawlings right in the studio. I'm not doing nothing. Because he's a statesman. He's a statesman. Honorable MP for